At 7:35 in the morning, the kitchen still holds the last pieces of yesterday. The grocery bags are empty now, folded near the counter, and the commute has left a quiet ache in the shoulders. A hoodie hangs over the back of a chair, soft and ordinary, close enough to touch. For a moment, she stands there without reaching for anything. The house has not fully begun. Somewhere, the refrigerator hums. A pipe settles in the wall. The fluorescent brightness of the store, the break room, the long rows of evening noise, still seems to rest behind her eyes. She places a clean glass of water on the counter. Nothing changes because of it. No problem opens. No answer arrives. But the water is there, and the hoodie is there, and the morning gives her one small second where nothing has to be solved. The chair is pulled out a little from the kitchen table, the way chairs are when someone meant to push them back in and then forgot. The hoodie hangs there with one sleeve turned inside out, its pocket sagging slightly, the fabric holding the shape of a body that has already moved on. She notices it before she notices herself. There is still a thin plastic rustle near the counter where the last grocery bag has not been thrown away. The apples are in the bowl. The milk is in the refrigerator. The receipt is somewhere under her phone, already curling at one edge. Everything has been put where it needed to go, at least enough for morning. Enough is a quiet word. She stands with one hand resting near the clean glass of water. She does not pick it up. She does not call anyone into the room. The house has a small waiting sound to it, the kind that comes before doors open, before feet cross the hall, before somebody asks where something is. The long commute has not completely left her yet. It is still in her lower back, still in the way her eyes feel slightly dry, still in the silence between one breath and the next. Yesterday evening had been full of headlights and cart wheels and the soft beep of items passing over the scanner. It had been full of being polite while tired. Then there had been the break room. A narrow room. Fluorescent lights. A vending machine humming in the corner. Someone's paper cup left near the sink. The evening outside had been getting quieter, but the brightness above her had stayed sharp, making every white wall look a little too awake. She had stood there for a moment before finishing the grocery run, not sitting down, not really resting, only letting the noise fall around her without trying to gather it up again. That moment returns now, oddly, in the kitchen. It is not dramatic. It is just a small overlap of light and tiredness. The kitchen light is softer than the break room light, but her body remembers both. The store. The commute. The chair. The hoodie. The feeling of being needed in more than one direction and having no room to explain that to anyone. So she does not explain it. She touches the edge of the counter with her fingertips. The laminate is cool. The glass of water leaves a faint ring where a drop has slipped down the side. Behind her, the hoodie keeps its quiet place on the chair, not asking to be folded, not asking to be noticed, though she notices it anyway. It could belong to her child. It could have been grabbed on the way to the car, then abandoned when the house felt warmer. It could belong to her, too, carried from one room to another and left there because something else had needed doing first. Objects do that sometimes. They tell the truth without raising their voice. The hoodie says someone was here. Someone came in and took off a layer. Someone trusted the room enough to leave something behind. It is only fabric, but this morning it holds a little evidence of ordinary life continuing without ceremony. She is a mother in this kitchen. She is also someone's child. That part of her is quieter now, but not gone. Some mornings, while placing food in the refrigerator or wiping a counter that will be messy again by noon, she remembers another kitchen from years ago. She remembers the way things appeared where they were needed. Clean water. A folded towel. A meal that did not ask to be praised. Back then, she may not have seen the tiredness behind it. Most people do not see everything at the time. The refrigerator starts again with a low click, then a steady hum. A car moves along the street outside. Somewhere in the house, a floorboard answers the change in morning temperature. The sounds are small, and because they are small, they let her remain where she is. She looks at the water. She has placed it within reach. That is all. Not as a symbol. Not as proof that she is thoughtful. Not as a lesson about care. Just water, where someone might need it. Just the kind of thing a person does when there is no speech ready and no grand feeling to offer. The thank you, if it exists, is too quiet for the room. Maybe it is in the way her hand leaves the glass where it can be found. Maybe it is in the hoodie allowed to stay on the chair for a little longer. Maybe it is in the fact that she does not rush to solve the whole day before the day has even arrived. For this second, the counter is enough. The water is enough. The house has not fully asked yet, and she is still standing there, held by the small mercy of nothing urgent happening. The morning begins in pieces. Not all at once, the way it sometimes feels in stories, but in small sounds that find their way into the kitchen one by one. A door shifts somewhere down the hall. The heater gives a low breath through the vent. The refrigerator hum deepens, then steadies. Outside, a neighbor's car door closes with that soft, familiar thud that means other people are also entering the day before they feel ready. She remains at the counter a little longer. The hoodie on the chair has not moved. In the early light, it looks less like clutter and more like a pause someone left behind. The sleeve hangs near the seat. The hood is folded over itself. There is something almost tender about how careless it is, how unprepared, how completely without performance. She understands that feeling. Her own jacket is still near the entryway from last night. Her shoes are not lined up. The grocery receipt is still under the phone. Somewhere in the back of her mind is a list that has already started to wake. What needs to be paid? What needs to be washed? What needs to be answered? What needs to be remembered before noon? But for another second, the list stays at a distance. She does not invite it closer. She turns the glass of water slightly, not because it needs turning, but because her hand has to do something gentle. The glass makes a small sound against the counter. A clear sound. Almost nothing. There are mornings when care looks so plain that nobody would think to name it. A clean glass within reach. A hoodie left alone instead of gathered up too quickly. A counter wiped only halfway because halfway is what the morning allows. The quiet decision not to let every unfinished thing become an accusation. The house does not know how much that takes. Maybe no house does. It only holds what people bring into it. Backpacks dropped by the wall. Keys in a bowl. A half-empty carton of orange juice. A pair of socks that missed the laundry basket. The soft evidence of everyone passing through, leaving behind proof that they live here, that they need things, that they forget things, that they trust someone will keep the room from falling apart completely. She has been that someone often. Not always gracefully. Not always with patience. Sometimes with a tight mouth. Sometimes with one hand on the steering wheel, one hand reaching for a bag, one eye on the clock, one thought already moving toward the next problem. Sometimes while remembering her own mother in flashes that come without warning. A hand reaching across a table. A dish set down quietly. A sweatshirt folded over the back of a chair. She had not always said, "Thank you" then. Not because she was ungrateful, but because childhood and young adulthood can move through care as if it were part of the walls. Water appears. Lights are on. Groceries are there. Someone remembers the thing that was almost forgotten. Later, the remembering changes. It comes while standing in a kitchen at 7:35 in the morning, after a late grocery run, after a long commute, after the body has learned what it costs to keep ordinary life going. It comes without blame. It comes quietly, almost shyly, as if it does not want to interrupt the morning either. She looks again at the hoodie. The thank you she could never quite say out loud has no perfect place to go. Her mother may not be in the room. The years may not open backward. No one may be waiting for a speech about what she finally understands. And still, something in her softens near the chair. Not a lesson. Only recognition. The kind that arrives when the hand reaches for the same small task someone else used to do. The kind that does not fix the past but makes it less lonely for a moment. The kind that can sit beside a glass of water and a worn piece of fabric and not need a larger name. The morning has more light now. It comes through the blinds in pale lines across the floor. Dust moves there, slowly, visible only because the light has found it. The kitchen is not clean, exactly. It is not ready, exactly. It is simply here, holding one woman, one chair, one hoodie, one glass of water. That is the whole room for a while. And inside that room, before anyone asks where the keys are or whether there is coffee or what time they need to leave, she lets the quiet stay uncorrected. Nothing has to be solved this second. Not the whole day. Not the old, "Thank you." Not the tiredness that came home with her and somehow woke before she did. The water waits on the counter. The hoodie waits on the chair. And she stands there with both hands empty, feeling the small relief of a morning that has not yet required her to become useful. Later, when the house begins to move, the quiet does not disappear all at once. It thins. A faucet turns on in the bathroom. A drawer opens and closes. Somewhere down the hall, someone coughs once, still half inside sleep. The day starts taking its shape, not loudly yet, but with the familiar little requests that gather around a kitchen in the morning. She stays near the counter, watching the glass of water catch a line of light. The hoodie remains on the chair. There is something about it she cannot leave too quickly. Not because it is special. Maybe because it is not. It is just a hoodie, soft from being worn, Slightly bunched at the waist, one cuff turned in on itself. It has no story it is trying to tell. It only rests where someone left it. That is how tired things rest. Her hand moves near the glass again, then stops. She can hear the house preparing to need her. She can feel the old habit rising in her chest, the one that tries to arrive ahead of every request. Breakfast. Shoes. Lunch. Time. The thing someone forgot. The thing someone will ask for as if it should already be there. And maybe it will be. Maybe she will find it. But not yet. There is a kindness in not moving too soon. She does not always remember that. Most mornings, she meets the first sound with the next task already in her hands. The phone, the towel, the bag, the pan, the keys. Her body has learned to answer before the question finishes. This morning, her body waits. The waiting feels small enough to be allowed. She thinks of the break room again, though she does not mean to. Last night, under those fluorescent lights, she had stood between a vending machine and a metal table, holding nothing, saying nothing. The store had been bright around her. The parking lot had been dark. Her phone had shown messages she did not open yet. For 1 minute, she had not been mother, worker, driver, shopper, daughter, or the person who remembers what the house is almost out of. She had only been standing. The room had not made her comfortable. The light was too sharp. The chair was hard. Someone had left a paper towel near the sink. But the evening outside had become less loud, and in that narrow space, nobody asked her to solve anything. She had not known what to do with that relief. Now, in the kitchen, she recognizes it. Relief does not always arrive like joy. Sometimes it arrives as the absence of the next demand. A second without being interrupted. A counter under the hand. A hoodie on a chair, not yet needing to be picked up. A glass of water placed where a person can find it later. She does not make it larger than that. The house gives another small sound. A door opens. Footsteps move and then stop, as if someone has forgotten why they came into the hall. She almost turns her head. She almost calls out. Instead, she lets the sound be sound. Only for a breath. The old thank you sits somewhere behind her ribs. It is not arranged into words. It does not know whether it belongs to her mother, to her child, to the morning, to the room, or to the tired woman she has been for longer than she admits. It may belong to all of them a little. Maybe that is why it stays quiet. Some gratitude is too private to survive being spoken to quickly. It has to remain in the hand for a while, in the way the glass is set down without noise, in the way the hoodie is left where it is, in the way she lets herself stand still though the day is beginning to gather. She can remember being young and passing through rooms where care had already happened. A clean counter. A jacket found. A drink left nearby. Not perfect care. Not gentle every time. Just the kind that kept appearing, even when no one had language for it. Now she is the one standing in that kind of room. The realization does not hurt exactly. It just opens. For a moment, the kitchen seems to hold both mornings at once, the one she is living, and the one she did not understand when someone else was tired. The light on the floor. The hum behind the walls. The ordinary object left in reach. She looks at the hoodie. Then at the water. Nothing asks to be finished. By the time the first full voice enters the house, she has already moved the glass once. Only a little. From the far side of the counter to the place where someone will probably reach without looking. Near the edge, but not too near. Close to the ordinary path between the hallway and the refrigerator, where hands pass through the morning before the mind is fully awake. It is such a small adjustment. No one would know she had thought about it. The hoodie still hangs on the chair. The chair still sits slightly turned away from the table, as if someone left in the middle of a sentence. Morning light has touched the fabric now, making one worn seam visible along the sleeve. There is a small dark mark near the pocket, maybe from a pen, maybe from something spilled weeks ago and never fully washed out. She almost reaches for it. Then she does not. There are things that can remain undone without becoming wrong. A chair can stay out. A hoodie can wait. A receipt can curl under a phone. A woman can stand in her own kitchen with the store light still somewhere behind her eyes and not immediately become the person who fixes the room. The thought arrives softly, without asking to be believed. In the hallway, someone moves slowly. A door opens, then closes again. The sounds are familiar enough to tell her who it is without seeing. That is part of family life, too. Knowing people by the weight of their steps. Knowing who drags one foot when they are tired. Knowing who pauses near the bathroom door. Knowing who will come in looking for the thing they left somewhere and forgot they left. She hears it all, and still she stands. Not against them. Not away from them. Only here. The break room returns again, not as a place she wants to go back to, but as a strange little room her body has kept. The white light. The metal chair. The smell of old coffee and cleaner. A clock on the wall that seemed too loud because everything else had finally quieted. Her own reflection in the microwave door, tired and slightly blurred. She had stood there before the rest of the evening kept going. Before the last groceries. Before the drive. Before the bags came into the house. Before the apples, the milk, the receipt, the hoodie on the chair. She had stood in that room with nothing in her hands, and maybe that was why it stayed with her. Nothing in her hands. That is rare. Most days, her hands carry something. A bag strap. A steering wheel. A phone. A dish. A shirt. A list she did not write down but keeps anyway. A memory of being someone's child, standing in another kitchen, unaware of how much was being carried around her. Now the morning lets her hands remain empty for a little longer. She looks down at them. The nails are plain. The skin near one knuckle is dry. There is a faint line on her palm from where a grocery bag handle had pressed the night before. Nothing dramatic. Just the small marks a day leaves when it has passed through a person. She turns her hand over once, then lets it rest on the counter. The surface is cool. That coolness helps. A voice from down the hall says something she does not quite catch. Not a real request yet. Just a waking sound turned into words. She waits to see whether it needs an answer. It does not. The house settles again, rearranging itself around the morning. The old thank you remains quiet. It feels different now from the kind of thank you said at a door, or in a checkout line, or after someone passes the salt. Those words are useful. They keep the world gentle in small ways. But this one is heavier and lighter at the same time. It has years inside it. It has a mother's tired body inside it. It has a child's easy receiving. It has this kitchen, this chair, this glass of water, this one woman noticing the shape of care after living long enough to repeat it. She does not know who would hear it if she said it. Maybe no one needs to. The hoodie does not need the words. The glass does not need them. The morning does not ask her to turn the feeling into speech. So she lets it stay where it is. A quiet thing under the ribs. A small warmth without a name. The day is beginning, but not everything has entered it yet. The hurry has not fully arrived. The questions are still finding their shoes. The house is still soft around the edges. And for these few seconds, before she turns toward the sound of someone coming down the hall, she lets the thank you remain unspoken and whole. The house finally steps into morning. Not quickly. Not all at once. But enough that the quiet begins to loosen its hold. A light comes on down the hall. Water runs. A cabinet opens. Someone moves through the space in socks, not fully awake, carrying the unfinished look people have before the day has given them a face. She turns slightly from the counter. The glass of water is still there, waiting where she moved it. The hoodie is still on the chair. Nothing about the room has become neat. Nothing has been solved. The kitchen remains exactly what it is, lived in, half ready, holding small evidence of last night and this morning at the same time. That seems to comfort her more than order would have. A perfectly clean room can sometimes feel like a room no one has needed. This one has been needed all night. It has held grocery bags, tired hands, a phone face down, a receipt curling near the edge of the counter, a hoodie dropped without ceremony, and one woman standing still before the day began. She reaches for the receipt and looks at it without really reading. The numbers are there. Milk. Apples. Bread. A few things bought because someone might ask for them later. One thing she forgot and will remember at the wrong time. The paper is thin between her fingers, the ink already beginning to fade near the fold. So much care becomes paper like this. Small totals. Quiet errands. A stop made after work. A store entered under bright lights when the body wanted only to go home. A cart pushed down one more aisle because ordinary life keeps having ordinary needs. She sets the receipt back down. The old thank you moves again inside her, but still does not become speech. It is not only for her mother now, though her mother is there in it. It is not only for the child who left the hoodie, though that child is there too. It is not only for the house, or the water, or the strange mercy of a few quiet seconds under morning light. It is for all the care that never knew how to announce itself. The kind that stood in kitchens. The kind that drove home tired. The kind that placed something within reach and did not stay to be thanked. A sound comes from the hallway, closer now. Someone will enter soon. The day will find its first question. The chair may be pushed back. The hoodie may be grabbed or ignored. The glass of water may be taken without anyone noticing who placed it there. And that is all right. Not everything given has to be seen at the moment it is given. Some things wait years before they are understood. Some thanks arrive late, not as words, but as a gentler hand on the same kind of task. She can feel that now. Maybe this is what has been happening quietly for a long time. She has been repeating gestures she once received without knowing she was carrying them forward. She has been putting water within reach, saving the last good piece of fruit, turning lights off, leaving lights on, remembering small needs, forgiving small messes, letting someone be young enough not to notice everything. The kitchen does not praise her for this. It only holds her. The morning light moves higher on the floor. The fluorescent break room from last night has finally faded from behind her eyes. What remains is softer: a chair, a sleeve, a glass, the low hum of a house about to begin. She lets her hand rest on the back of the chair. The hoodie is warm in the place where sunlight has touched it. She does not fold it. She does not move it. She only feels the fabric for 1 second, as if touching the proof that someone came home, took off a layer, and trusted the room to hold what they left behind. That, too, is a kind of thank you. A footstep reaches the kitchen doorway. She looks up. Before speaking, before answering, before becoming useful again, she takes one quiet breath beside the counter. The room is not empty anymore, but the stillness has not completely left. It stays in the water. It stays in the chair. It stays in the small space between noticing and being noticed. The day can begin now. It does not have to take everything. The water is still on the counter when the morning begins to fill the room. Someone reaches for the hoodie on the chair and pulls it close, not knowing it had been part of the quiet. Not knowing the room had held a mother still enough to notice it. Not knowing an old thank you had moved through the kitchen without needing a voice. That is how some gratitude stays. Not hidden exactly. Just too soft for speech. It rests in the glass placed within reach. In the receipt left beside the phone. In the hand that touches the back of a chair before moving on. In the small mercy of not solving everything before the first question comes. She turns toward the day. The house is awake now, but something gentle remains behind her, near the counter, where the water waits and the chair stands open. Nothing was finished there. But something was received.